or all stakeholders in this wonderful country that we are building together, a new India, Naya Bharat. We have to take a lot of pride in our ability to solve problems. It is that effort and that ability that is taking us places and will take us places. Common sense intelligence, practical action, sound theory followed up by sound developments, progress. It is possible. Now, what is the job here? What is my job? People, what is this? This is a privilege to be sitting here and having this position to be in front of a camera. What is to be used for? Should we be part of the journey in problem solving, or should we just be in the part of the journey of whining and complaining? Hi, lut gaye, barbad ho gaye, aisa bura hai, waisa bura hai. Hanji, there are issues. Okay. What do we do to solve them? Let us start with the application of our minds in understanding the problem, looking at it step by step through practical common sense, and then dealing with it. Ladies and gentlemen, there is a smoky haze all across large parts of the northwest of the country. Yes, traffic is a problem. Yes, dust is a problem. But there are two primary things that cause this smoke show every year. Number one is atmospheric conditions, and there's no running away from that. The air becomes heavier, it becomes stiller, it doesn't rise, so the smoke lingers on the ground. There is X you can do about atmospheric conditions. That's the biggest issue, because the cars run the entire year, the dust is there the entire year. You can argue the dust in the summers is much worse, but it particularly affects us now. So atmospheric conditions is number one. Number two is the fact that the satellite photographs show you that a large part of North India, a major state, and other places also, but one entire state is on fire. There are tens of thousands of hectares that are being burned. Where is the smoke going? This vanishing is being sent by Elon Musk to Mars. No, the smoke is percolating under these atmospheric conditions. So yes, there's a problem in vehicular pollution. Yes, dust is a problem, construction is a problem, factories are a problem, power plants are a problem, but primarily the problem right now is the Parali burning coupled with the atmospheric conditions. It happens every year. So this is what the issue is. Let's not be blind to it. Let's address it. This is what the issue is. Okay. So how do we solve it? We are trying to solve, what is it? Batti on to gadi off, something. Before that we did odd even. These are not the solutions, because that's not the problem. The problem right now is something else. So let's now address some straight, hard facts. Ladies and gentlemen, Parali burning is debilitating the country. The national capital of the country is becoming unlivable for a large part of the winter season. This is generally the best weather, the festive season. It is becoming so bad that if we ask people now to come to hold business conferences, to come as tourists, which is where we should be in the world, to have major sporting events, maybe one day the Olympics, it will not be pleasant if we can't solve the problem, let alone the direct impact on our health. So we have to now solve Parali burning. You cannot solve Parali burning until you make a better option available to the farmer that is faster, if not as fast, and equally effective as putting a match onto the straw. You can come up with all sorts of schemes and mechanisms. Unless you answer the basic problem and give a better alternative. I gave the example of LED bulbs. We all have LED bulbs in our homes because they are cheaper, last longer, and are better. Not because of some great campaign that incandescent bulbs are better for the environment or worse for the environment. They're cheaper, they're better for you, they last longer, end of story. Okay? So we shift it all to LED. So now let's address some things before I open this up to conversation for people joining us. The farmer in Punjab and North India has 2 weeks. That's it. 10 to 15 days in which they have to clear their soil and plant the next crop. They just have 2 weeks. Okay? So this formula for biodecomposition and converting it into khad and nutrients and all that, that takes 4 weeks. Unless you can bring it down to 2 weeks, it's irrelevant to the farmer. Okay? They have 2 weeks before they have to next sow the crop, and the next crop is not a rice crop, it's a wheat crop. Okay? So the biodecomposer, and let's get our elements on our screens. I don't know why my PCR crew is struggling so desperately in an important telecast. You got 2 weeks, 10 to 15 days, unless you understand that the first problem is time. Whatever solution you will offer, you will fail. The farmer has got 10 to 15 days in which he has to remove, harvest, remove stubble and replant, okay, in October and this period of early November. That's it. So you have to find something that's equally fast as burning the field. The second problem, as I mentioned, is this biodecomposer takes 3 or 4 weeks. So this is not your solution unless you come up with a faster formula, which I have not seen one or heard of one. So this is not the solution. Because it's not a solution, let's not be surprised nobody's adopting it. 5 years we've been talking about biodecomposer, and this research laboratory has come up with this and come up. It's not being adopted on the ground because it doesn't solve the problem the farmer has. And if you can't solve the problem the farmer has, you will fail. So the alternate is machines, mechanical removal of the stubble. So what's the problem? The problem is cost. Okay? Now here's the mathematics. This main machine, whatever you want to call it, there are different names for it, but we'll call it the Parali removing machine for everybody's convenience. The Parali removing machine costs 3 lakh rupees, 1.5 to 3 lakh rupees. Okay? That is assuming that you have a tractor which is costing another 10 lakh rupees. Then there is a straw baler which is also required separately, which costs another 12 lakh rupees. These are chunks of change for a farmer. You are saying 25 lakh rupees of equipment is required. Now, not saying that every farmer needs to buy. You can rent, you can lease. There are other formulas that can be worked out, but this is the grassroots basic mathematics on your screens now. Now, there are roughly 31.93 lakh hectares of paddy that is being grown in the state of Punjab. Okay? 1 hectare is about 2.5 acres. So you're talking about just under 80,000. You're talking about 80 or 78.9 lakh acres. Okay? Ignore the figure here. It's 78.9 lakh acres. Okay? One machine, if you use it efficiently, can maybe service 50 to 60 acres in a day, in a 12-hour period. That's what it can do. So one machine which costs from 1.5 to 3 lakh rupees is required to cover 50, we've taken the figure of 60 acres per day. That's the maximum it can do. Okay? So I want you to take this figure, 78.9 lakh acres. You require one machine to cover 60 acres. You only have a 15-day period, 15-day window. Okay? So 78.9 lakh acres, 15 days, 60 acres per day, you require a minimum of 8.76 lakh machines on the ground to be able to mechanically remove all the stubble within a period of less than 2 weeks. That's the mathematics. Okay? If a machine is costing you, with the straw baler included, 15 lakh rupees, you will have to burden an expenditure of 13,140 crore rupees. Okay? So 13,140 crores is the cost to mechanically have a solution available for all the farmers in Punjab to be able to incentivize them to use this machine. So take that figure, 13,000. Now that seems like a large amount of money, is just over $1.2 billion. But think about it. Think about it. How many people are going to die from pollution related things? Okay. Now I'm just doing common sense here. If you go and place an order like you did, we once ordered 75 crore LED bulbs. Something called, and Dr. Sharad Kohli will soon back me up on this, something called economies of scale. Okay. The more you build, the cheaper the unit cost. So I'm doing a very simple back of the envelope calculation. I'm assuming that if you order 8.5-9 lakh units, you can bring the economies of scale and you can probably save 25% on that unit cost. So you just need 9,860 crores to have a machine available to achieve what you need to do in the time period that you need to do it in mechanically. Okay. In addition to that, we've checked with the farmers, it costs them about 1,000 rupees in diesel per acre. Okay. So you need about 789 crores per year in just diesel costs, which is a recurring cost. Okay. So now here we are. Cost of operating 8.76 lakh machines, okay, you need about 789 crores. Okay. So you need roughly 9,800 crores every year plus the recurring yearly cost. And the recurring yearly cost, ladies and gentlemen, are just two. You have to calculate, let's say, a 10% depreciation into the machines and the cost of maintenance and diesel. Okay. So your recurring yearly costs, you're looking at about 2,000 crores a year, and a one-time expenditure of just under 10,000 crores is required to equip the entire state with a mechanical solution. Now, doesn't mean the mechanical solution will be adopted by everyone, but if you wanted to do it, this is how much it's going to cost. End of story. Okay. Now, let's come to the next problem. And if you don't address all the problems, you don't want to solve it. Okay. The next problem is that when you use these machines as opposed to burning, what happens is when you're harvesting with a combine harvester, when you're harvesting the paddy, okay, and you're not burning it, not burning the stubble, the grains that get left behind, the rice grains that get left behind, in the next wheat crop, that rice grain is like a weed. Some of them will germinate and they will withdraw, take away nutrients from what you are now hoping is a good wheat harvest. So the burning eliminates also all of these which become weeds. So we have to find a solution to this as well. The next is the reason the farmers burn, because when you burn the field, you also burn all the worms and insects that are potential threat to your next harvest. Particularly bollworms are one of them, because their larvae gets behind, which can then damage the quality of the wheat. Okay. So the burning of the farm is quick, it gets done very quickly, it's complete because it takes care of any residual grains that might have been left, which can become weeds. It gets rid of the larvae and the insects, which are a problem later, and it's cost effective. It costs you nothing. It costs you the price of a matchbox. Okay. So these are the four straightforward things. Now let me open up this conversation and take it up step by step. Sanjay Nath Singh, Secretary General of the All India Farmers Association with us. Indra Shekhar Singh, who is an agricultural expert, is with us on the broadcast. A highly intelligent young man who I've had the privilege of speaking to, who's a problem-solving young fellow. Sharad Kohli is with us, who is like me, a believer in problem-solving and applying common sense economics to large problems, is also on the broadcast with us. So I'm going to start with you, Dr. Kohli. Dr. Kohli, now we'll have to agree that unless we find a plan that solves the farmers' problems and it is better, cheaper and more effective, whatever we do is going to be chest beating.
Absolutely. Rishabh, there's not. I must first of all appreciate the mathematics and the research done by your team in arriving at these numbers, especially the 10,000 crore total outlay on providing these machines. Well, I'll address the latter part of your statement first. Well, as the machines get into action, which is we've seen, Rishabh, in so many cases, the improvisation in technology, in machine making is very, very quick. I think we've got dozens and dozens of examples behind us, of different kinds of manufacturing processes or different kinds of field processes for that matter. Look at the cranes which were there and look at the cranes which were there, which are there now. So I think as far as the leftover lava is concerned, as far as the weeds are concerned, I think the machines can very quickly be improvised to take care of that leftover and weeds. So that's my first solution. And it'll be just a matter of a very short time, I must tell you, before these leftovers can be cleaned up by the machines as well. In fact, the machine may also leave the quality of the soil better than the quality left by burning it. That's my, I'm sure one of the agriculturists would ratify what I'm saying. That's my first thing. Now, my second thing is, Rishabh, if 10,000 crores is all it takes, that's all it takes. And let's say, for example, Punjab. Now, the cost of the freebies being given by various states, I was looking at the freebies. Karnataka, before election, we saw 62,000 crores worth of freebies which were lined up by the ruling political party before. As far as Punjab is concerned, the cost of electricity, free electricity being given, the subsidies being given, 25,000 crores. So the problem is here, and that's where, because this is a problem-solving show, Rishabh. So I'll focus on problem-solving. I think if the focus moves on from grabbing votes to letting people live, I think the main solution, because 10,000 crores is peanuts. Punjab has a total loan or total debt. We all know it is one of the most indebted state in the country. We all know that. I've spoken on your show so many times. Over 3 lakh crores of debt on Punjab. Now, 10,000 crores out of 3 lakh crores, for example, is what? Is not even 5%. So you need less than 5% of the total debt of Punjab. I'm not even talking of the GSDP of Punjab. Is all you need to wipe off this problem. So therefore, I think the will of the political fraternity, the will of the ruling party is where the solution lies. Because this may not fetch votes. Rishabh, I'm being very, very emphatic in making this statement because this step may not fetch votes. Hence, the calculation which you have done is magnificent.
I disagree on this one point of time because we are assuming that the farmer loves the smoke. The farmer doesn't love the smoke, Dr. Kohli. You just give him a better option. Just give him a better option which works according to his parameters. If you're going to say this will take 2 months when he's got 2 weeks, he's going to laugh at you.
No, Rishabh. I didn't say that the machines are going to take longer. I also did not say that any other solution.
When you're saying politics, I'm saying that the farmer will appreciate if you give them a cleaner solution, but as long as it comes to their parameters, and it's very simple, guys. It's not rocket science. Dr. Kohli, any child could have done this mathematics. Finish your thought, sir.
Just 1 second. I was told, this information needs to be ratified, that many of the agri-scientists have approached the farmers. So many NGOs have approached the farmers. This is not on record, but I know for sure they have approached the farmers that what suits you the best. So most of the farmers said, they are from Punjab. You cannot give me any other solution. The farmers have resisted, Rishabh. This is a revelation I'm making, and I'm sorry. Sometimes when I call them Annadatas, I have a lot of respect for them, and the entire country has a lot of respect. I do not mean any disrespect to farmers, but it is very difficult to change the mindset. All the solutions, Rishabh, which were offered to the farmers, whether it was the bio-decompose, which we just discussed, which takes longer, so it doesn't really work out, or any other chemical or mechanical.
I'm not suggesting that this is an easy journey, okay? But I am basing it on 2 premises. Number 1, you need a commonsensical problem-solving approach, number 1, okay? And number 2, you have to assume that the farmer doesn't love the smoke, but it is just so convenient and it deals with everything that unless you provide an equally convenient or cheaper or more profitable alternative, it makes no sense to switch, knowing full well that this is damaging to everything. Okay, Dr. Kohli, finish your thought. I want to get the others in. Please, yeah, finish your thoughts.
Rishabh, from where you left, I'll conclude by saying that farmers have actually resisted all the solutions which were offered. I am sorry, again I say, I don't want a farmers dharna after my statement, but all solutions have been resisted.
Because the solution you're offering is some biodecomposer which takes 4 weeks. So you have to come up with better solutions. So let's try. Let's not give up. Let's try. Okay. Yeah.
Rishabh, solution was offered within the time frame. What you mentioned
so let's try. Here's where the premise stands. Okay. Now I'm going to put another aspect to it before I get Indra and Sanjay Nath Singh into this conversation. Ladies and gentlemen, if these machines can even remove 70, 80, 90% of the stubble, okay? So just do common sense. I've taken a mechanical machine that has removed 90% of the stubble, okay? If you burn an entire tree versus you burn a log, there is a difference, commonsensical difference in the amount of smoke and pollution it will produce. So even if you remove 90% of the stubble, and then you light the field on fire, you will have at least cut the matter which is being burnt by 90%. And that will then eliminate the leftover seeds and the leftover larvae and etc. things. You can literally get flamethrowers and torch the fields, and that will also redeposit the nitrogen. So there are logical things, because you can't bring pollution down to zero. That's not going to happen, okay? But you can cut it down in large percentage terms. Now, Indra Shekhar Singh, here we are, sir, okay? We have to do something. Now, as I've already said, these are the 4 problems that we need to solve, and unless we solve them, we can't figure it out, and this is what it's going to cost. Indra, your thoughts?
Sure. First of all, I believe that you are a very pragmatic person, and you've laid out very pragmatic problems in front of us. It's not a political problem, it's an agrarian problem which needs pragmatic solutions. And I agree with you 100% that the farmer needs an easier and efficient way. Now, I do not agree with Mr. Kohli, but I will tell you my solutions. We have to begin by giving the farmer something, an alternative, which will provide the farmer the necessity to burn the fields will be removed. And how will we do that? I think we need to begin with regenerative farming. We need to begin with a price support for organic production. Now, most viewers would know this, that basmati and the heirloom varieties on the land races, which are in the paddy, those varieties, the stubble is used by the cattle. It has economic value. Only when there is no economic value for the stubble, then is the farmer compelled to burn it. You correctly said that it's as easy as buying a box of matchsticks. When you incentivize the stubble, when you make it economically profitable, the farmer will think 10 times before burning it. Now, people who are not into agriculture do not understand this. So I feel compassion for them. But the truth is that if you have an active organic program for regenerative agriculture with price supports and MSP, MSP not for industrial agriculture.
So translate this into theory into practice. Okay.
Absolutely.
Okay, so if we are talking about 40 lakh hectares, okay, so that's about 80.
I'll give you the exact.
Just
40 million.
80 lakh acres. Let's say that's a back of the envelope figure. 80 lakh acres. Okay.
Absolutely.
How much straw are we producing?
See, I cannot tell you exactly how much straw, because different farmers are growing different varieties. Some of them are growing basmati and some of them are growing non-basmati. So there is a big dichotomy, because the basmati stubble is used by cattle farms and dairy farms. Okay, if we convert all the area under Punjab into native or organic or regenerative agricultural production,
here's generative AI's answer. Okay. And you can believe it or not, Indra. Generative AI is telling me that between 2 to 2.5 tons of paddy straw is produced per acre. Okay, so
depending on the variety. See, I'm not. I'm
doing back of the envelope. Okay, so you're talking about roughly 80 lakh acres. So you're roughly producing 2 tons per acre. Okay. So 160 lakh tons of straw, roughly, okay, it's not a perfect estimate. Obviously, the authorities can come up with the exact figures, but roughly, we don't have to say 500 lakh tons, we don't have to say 1 lakh tons, roughly 2 lakh tons, 2.5 lakh tons of straw is being produced. Now, what are the uses for this straw?
I'm going to jump in right there. People do not connect the dots. People work in isolation. So India currently has a 15% fodder deficit every year. Like if you compare the fodder, the dry And what this means is that our cattle actually lack the fodder that's required to feed them. And every year there is a 15 to 20%, and in fact, last year there was a 25% fodder deficit. So India needs fodder badly. If we actually convert Punjab into heirloom varieties and organic basmati production, we are going to fulfill not only the stubble problem, but we are also going to provide that 15% deficit in fodder that every year our country requires. And people only in agriculture can connect these dots. Political people cannot connect these dots. Agricultural people can tell you that Punjab can become a big hub for mushroom production.
So mushroom production, you're saying?
Also. And see, first is organic production. There needs to be, the government is giving MSP for the wrong reasons. The right reason for MSP should be for organic production, which is actually helping the soil.
Yeah, organic production, Indra, you know what's happened in Sri Lanka. So, it's at a mass scale, I don't know.
Rishabh, that is incorrect. That is, Rishabh, see, we may differ on this, but I'm telling you from the ground. I've worked in Punjab, you know about this, and I write often about this. So I'm not talking from facts, I'm not talking from abstractions. And this is just my second solution. I have a bunch of solutions which I'll just tell.
Let me write it. Okay, so let me write them down. So obviously, let me take it step by step. I'm only stopping you so that I can note this down step by step and people can comprehend. Okay, so one obvious logic, which is again not rocket science, is that you are saying that this goes towards cattle fodder. Okay, then you are saying that a bit of it can be diverted to starting a mushroom farming, organic farming approach. Others have said Indra, that you can also use it for biofuels. Can you burn it to produce power?
Allow me. I believe, but allow me to make my comments. And I don't have I give them due credit, but my solutions are simple. The third solution is involving biochar. Why is the government not looking at biochar? Because biochar is what Punjab needs. The soil of Punjab. Biochar has been used by the ancient Native Americans in the Amazons to create the perfect soil. Today the soils of Punjab are hurting. Today the soils of Punjab are hurting. They've been extra chemicalized. The organic matter is gone. So why not we have a decentralized village level program, which is actually making the stubble into biochar through contained oxygenated burning, and then putting the biochar back in the soil. That will solve two of your problems. First of all, soil fertility will be increased. No one's going to burn unnecessarily. And third of all, all these other bacteria and other things that you talked about, your team did a good effort, but bollworms only attack cotton. They don't attack or wheat for that matter. Okay. It's the bollworm, not the bollworm. That's a slight distinction.
I'll remember that. Bollworm. Okay, I'll remember that.
Bollworm.
Okay, so for people watching the broadcast, biochar is basically just converted into charcoal. Okay, so it requires a process and requires an intervention. Okay, anything else, Indra, you want to add?
See, of course, there are more agricultural solutions. I would also say that there needs to be a price floor. There needs to be a price floor or an MSP for organic production, and that's very, very necessary. And the fifth solution is we need to shift MSP on paddy from Punjab into the southern states. Because the climatic, you very well raised the point that because of the climate, the problems are exacerbating because the winds are not moving in India. So why not we give more MSP in Telangana, in Andhra Pradesh, in areas which are also producing rice?
What am I giving the alternative to the Punjabi farmer who's been growing basmati rice, which is very profitable to them? Okay, what do I say? That listen, you can make equal money from...
They're growing also non-basmati rice.
Okay, so but if I'm saying that, okay, I've encouraged you for 50 years to grow this paddy, okay? And now I'm saying no, let it be grown in South India, but what's it going to be replaced with which is equally profitable? Why will they give it up?
No, I have an answer to that. I have an answer to that also. That's why I bring about the topic of price floors. See, the farmer is not, Punjab does not eat rice. Anybody who's Punjabi, they don't eat rice in their home. It's only 5% times that they are regularly eating rice in the villages. I'm not talking about the city people who are affluent. But Punjab is a wheat-eating country. Okay. Punjab likes their roti, they like their makke ki roti, they like their gehu ki roti, kanak ki roti. 5% house... I've spoken with 1,000 farmers. No one is growing rice to eat it in their homes. It's not like Uttar Pradesh or Bengal. So we need to ensure that the price difference, see, in the end, the farmer is growing the paddy for the price profits that he's getting. If we can supplement that profit, at least for a 5-year period, I'm not saying do it for the rest of eternity, but for 5 years, can we cushion the farmer and give them the same price support and income support that happens in the US?
Okay, but for what alternative? What would be the alternative crop? Would it be back to wheat?
See, we can begin. Of course, I'll get back to that. And the answer to that is depending on what region of Punjab you're in. If you're in the Malwa belt, I'll give you better cotton. If you are in the Tarai belt, I will give you, if you're in the Doaba belt, I will give you, for example, dalhan. I'll give you like
Okay,
sugarcane.
so Indra, when you're growing something other than paddy, why does that make it easier when it comes to stubble burning? Don't they also leave a residue?
See, no, they do not. They do not. That's the other thing. And half their thing, like, we've also not touched upon this. Another solution I have, which is about mulching, which is about actually putting things on the ground. The whole happy seeder and the whole Parali management machines, that's a failure. 5 years have proved to us that all the money that our taxpayers, you and my tax dollars, tax rupees have gone to, have been utter failure, because in Delhi, we can still smell the smoke. So I want transparency, and it's not about BJP or Congress. I'm not a political person.
No, explain this to viewers. No, explain this, because we're doing common sense. When you say mulching, okay, how do you mulch existing stubble? You have to cut it at some point of time. Now, do you add wood pieces? What do you do?
See, again, this is again through a financial incentive. Every farmer can get, for example, an X amount, which will be calculated as per the Nerega rates of that state, and given to farmers to get people from the rural economy. People, there is a large unemployment problem right now in India. There's a large rural crisis where there's income problem. Why not we have a financial incentive? And this is not going to be 10,000 crores. This is going to be done in 5,000 crores at best. If we can offer per acre income support so that the mulching can be done using Nerega schemes.
Okay, so you're saying let them go back with sickles and actually cut it with hand, and then what do you need to pollinate the mulch with? I'm guessing it has to be some sort of other organic. Nothing. Just the straw is enough.
You just need to lay it on the ground. You just need to lay it on the ground. And the way wheat is cultivated in Punjab, and this is again a very specific thing which most political people will not know. But wheat can be grown with chana and mustard. Why don't we introduce multi-cropping and not go for, this monocropping problem? Today, Rishabh, the real problem in India is that there is a disharmony between ecology and industry.
Okay. So, all right. Okay. Every problem, of course, every solution has other problems. Multi-cropping means that they're not very combine harvester friendly. So, that's a problem with modern day agriculture all over the world. Multi-cropping makes sense from a nutrition point of view. So, Indra Shekhar is absolutely right. It is better for the farm, the soil, for the crops and the farmer. It just becomes more economically.
And the water.
Yeah, it becomes more difficult to harvest on scale with these combine harvesters. There is no combine harvester that effectively handles multi-cropping right now. Okay, now let me get Sanjay Nath Singh into this conversation. Sanjay ji, now in the end, something has to be done. Okay, so now we have to start doing things. We've come up with just the mathematics of one part of the solution, which is this is what is going to cost you to get the machines in place to do it. You heard Indra give several other solutions. Somewhere in between lies the answer. Somebody's got to come up with a plan. Since nobody else seems to be, let's start. What are we waiting for? What are your suggestions, sir?
Well, I must compliment you with all the economics that you gave about the Parali management and how much it would cost. You see, I've been thinking about it since the last discussions that we had with you. And what comes to my mind is that actually mulching is a very good idea, especially through the super seeder and various machines. But the super seeder is a very heavy machine. It has to be made of a lightweight steel or lightweight metal, and it should be also cost effective. So that is what we have to do. Plus, there are certain other design deficiencies in the super seeders that we have come across, where I had mentioned last time that the gaps between the blades have to be reduced so that the soil which is cultivated does not, the furrows are not very wide, and the land is not wasted. So there's no, so all those things are there, that those can be managed. And one can, even through herbicides and pesticides and all that, we can take care of the rodents and things like that of various of the previous crops as a residue of all that can be handled. But immediately we need to redesign the super seeders with lightweight metals and like lightweight steel. I've worked in a metallurgical company, so I would know that these
How
kind
will
of
that
things
help?
are.
Will that make it cheaper, easier to work, reduce the
Yes,
diesel cost? How would that help?
yes. You see, it will help in the sense that from the use of it, because if it is lightweight, then you don't require a 50 bhp tractor to pull it, which will cost at least 10 lakhs.
Okay.
Maybe you can reduce the size also. Even a handheld tractor should be able to manage it. So that's the kind of thing that we need to innovate with. And I suppose there are certain corporates who would be very willing to work on this. And
Okay. So Sanjay Nath Singh, right
I have
now.
had a, I have had an initial discussion with the Chief Secretary of Delhi also on this issue.
Okay. So Sanjay Nath Singh, right now, the failure of, as Indra has also pointed out, and we know this is a fact, because if it was success, then we won't be having this conversation. But the failure of this particular machine is primarily because of what? Is it because of cost and design, or are there other issues as well, including adoption?
You see, there's a cost and design as one of them. Then it is also the problem of you know it leaves certain other costs.
Yeah. So
Replacement of blades,
maintenance
like
diesel.
replacement of blades.
Yeah, so maintenance, if agar maintenance diesel chhod dete hain, okay, then we come back that, okay, depreciation, maintenance diesel, I'm putting that aside for a second. What
Yeah.
it leaves behind on the ground, okay, which I mentioned, the borer worms, ball worms, has been talked about.
That can be taken care of
How?
through
But insecticide?
insecticide, weedicide, and all that herbicides are there. We
Okay.
can use them. And I some of I would beg to differ with Mr. Singh, and that is on the what do you call the organic farming part of it, because India mein organic farming nahi ho sakta, so we'll have to leave it
No.
fallow
So
for
no. That's a completely whole different argument for another different day, because
yeah.
what we mean by organic farming versus nature-friendly farming is completely
And it has
completely
to be,
different
yes,
conversation.
but one point I agree with, that is the MSP, that we can probably incentivize the farmer, that if you do not burn and you use the stubble to do the mulching in your farms
Okay.
for a certain period of time, we'll give you a
All right.
higher
Okay. So
MSP.
can I get
That is
somebody?
one.
Okay. Can I get somebody in my team to make a note of all of these things? Okay. So that we can come back to this tomorrow and again day after. Let's solve the problem. Okay. It's a solvable problem. Okay. So here is where we are at before I get our next guest into this conversation. This is where things stand. Now, ladies and gentlemen, we have to make the machines better designed and cheaper. This is something we can easily achieve with cost of scale. At the current value, it would cost 10,000 crores to get this done, okay, to get the machines in place. You can design them better and make them cheaper, okay, and you can reduce that cost by I'm assuming by a large percentage, okay. So you have to have a mechanical option available as a part of the solution. The secondary part of the solution is incentivizing and putting a value, an economic value to the straw itself, because then that incentivizes burning. Because if you actually have a baled stack of straw, 2 tons per acre, it has some value, it has something you can earn from it, and it has to be large enough not to want to burn it, okay. So you incentivize the standing stubble and the conservation of that stubble. That's a part of the solution. Converting, once you have turned it into hay, once you've turned it into bales of hay, okay, converting that into biochar is a part of the solution. Mulching is going to be part of the solution, and giving alternatives to equally profitable alternatives to paddy growing, particularly in Punjab, where the atmospheric conditions cause the smoke to be retained, and providing alternatives for paddy growing else part of the country is part of the solution. Now let's get our last speaker into this conversation, and I'll do a quick overview with everyone. Yogesh Chaudhary is with us. Yogesh ji, samasya to hai, problem to hai, how do we solve it?
I would like to say first, the NewsX channel is taking this issue. It's a very good thing because it's the need of the country. Discussion should be continued on this issue. And I would like to say about the solution of this problem. The ultimate solution will be depend on the government, because our Indian farmers' position are very poor side. So they are not in position to take the expenses on that issue. If we are talking about the mulching machines, they are very costly. And not only the machine costly, the operating things, if we need the tractors for the operating that machine, so it's on a very higher side. So the farmer is not in the condition of the affordable of the things. So the government should take the initiative. I would like to say the Chhattisgarh government is taking cow dung and they are paying to the farmers for that. So fly ash. Another issue is fly ash. You see the powerhouses discharge a very big amount of the fly ash is there, and that fly ash is compulsory to use in the cement bricks. So that's why it's a very good solution. And like that, if we go for the multi-crops, it can be a good and cheaper solution. But the initiation and good pricing for the pulses should be given to the farmers. Okay. It's not happening in our country.
Okay, so are you a believer? Would you also say that if there were alternatives to paddy which were equally profitable and backed up by a solid MSP, that there would be at least a small percentage, you don't need everybody to shift, 5-10% would be tempted to try alternatives?
Such a mechanism should be developed by the government that they can use it as a fuel to the boilers, to some other options. Thereby, we are using the wood also. So it can be used there as a fuel. So, but the mechanism, farmer doesn't have that mechanism.
So let's be clear. Agar aapne, if you have to lift the parali, the straw from the farm, you have to have, there can only be two ways of dealing with it. Either you cut it by hand, and I'm going to examine that in a second, okay? Or you'd cut it by machine. तो आपको मशीन चाहिए या लेबर चाहिए, वो तो चाहिए, ठीक है, तो हटाना तो पड़ेगा. उसके बाद फिर आप उसको जला के पावर बनाओ, या उसके बाद जला के चारकोल बनाओ, या आप उसको कहीं और कुछ और चीज़ में डालो, तो हटाना तो पड़ेगा. सो द हटाने वाला क्वेश्चन वी आर स्टिल ऑन. नाउ जो मैं सवाल आपसे कर रहा था सर, कि अगर इंसेंटिवाइज किया जाए पंजाबी फार्मर को जो अभी पैडी उगा रहे हैं, कि आपको कोई और कैश क्रॉप पे आप शिफ्ट करें, वो स्कीम कैसे सक्सेसफुल की जाए, क्या गारंटी देनी पड़ेगी, क्या सेम प्रॉफिट देने पड़ेंगे फार्मर को कि वो सोचें कि यार राइस को छोड़ो, हमारे पास कुछ और ऑप्शन है जिससे स्टबल का प्रॉब्लम नहीं होता है.
हो सकता है. उसके लिए देखिए, जो पंजाब का बेल्ट है उसमें हम गन्ना बहुत अच्छे से कर सकते हैं. उसके लिए वहाँ की जो भूमि है वो बहुत ज़्यादा उपजाऊ है, और जितनी भी हमारी पल्सेस की जो क्रॉप है, अगर हमारा उसके जो क्रॉप वैल्यू है वो अगर ठीक से मिलेगी, तो दैट कैन ऑल्सो बी टेकन बाय द फार्मर्स. सो इट कैन बी ए गुड सॉल्यूशन फॉर दैट.
Okay. So yes, now we are talking about percentages solutions. Okay, so now let me now quickly take an overview. Dr. Kohli, at the end of this telecast to where I was at the beginning, I certainly am feeling more confident that a solution is possible. Now, how do we logically take this forward? What's the next step, sir?
Well, Rishabh, we have both the Mr. Singhs sitting with us, and both are, agriculturally qualified. They have, I must put on record my appreciation for the advanced level knowledge with which both the Mr. Singhs have given on your show, and I'm trying to digest it. But on top of everything, I think they would agree with me. I know this is not a political show. I know this is not a show where you said in the beginning, where we need to highlight the problem. But I somehow still feel, as an economist, I speak on macroeconomics, and I speak a lot on agriculture. You'll be surprised on the All India Radio. I speak a lot on agriculture as well. I still feel that the super problem, and that's where the super solution has to be. There, I think cooperative federalism is one of the problem, and if we could do something as big as GST, and solve the problem, all the states and centers sitting together, if we could solve this, I think incentivizing the farmers, giving them machines, organic farming, mulching, all these solutions are definitely workable. What's the big deal? It's workable.
No,
And
it's
these solutions,
it is workable. करने वाली बात है. अब डर गए तो मर गए. Absolutely सीधे.
करने वो बिल क्यों बिल नहीं है? क्यों बिल नहीं है ऋषभ? क्योंकि वो आई एम सॉरी टू से दिस, क्योंकि वो वोट नहीं लाती है. वोट क्या लाती है? बस में फ्री चढ़ा दीजिए, बिजली फ्री दे दीजिए, महिलाओं के खाते में 500,000 रुपए डाल दीजिए. These are the things that get votes. And what the political fraternity is forgetting, what the political fraternity is forgetting, Rishabh, is that general elections are coming, and people who are breathing this poison day in, day out in the gas chamber in northern India.
Yeah.
These will be the very people who will go and vote.
But nobody's dealing with it. There's not one political party that's addressing this issue. It doesn't make a difference where they are in power, not in power, or they're in opposition. So that's the bottom line. So unfortunately, ladies and gentlemen, I remember when seat belts had to be made compulsory. The seat belts had to be made compulsory oftentimes because the courts have to intervene. Because there's an incremental cost to putting a seat belt to the manufacturers, to the people already driving cars. Nobody wants to take an unpopular move. Would you imagine a lot of you take helmets for granted these days? No, that if you're on a two-wheeler, you wear a helmet. There was a point of time when the helmet mandatory law had to be enforced. And that wasn't easy either. It is unpopular because if a person doesn't have too much money, you're asking them, you buy a helmet also. If there are two people, then have two helmets. So everything is sometimes gets stuck because we think it can't be done, even though it's for our own good. But let's change the premise. Yes, it can be done. Okay, Indra, logical next step. How do I now come back and formulate this plan and take it a step forward at the end of a week? This year is gone. We can't stop it this year. Okay. But there is next year. There's no general election after that. There's no election in Punjab. We have a political clear headwind. We can, starting today, aim for next year. How do we do it?
So, Rishabh, I will now take an economic tune, and thank you, Dr. Kohli, for the appreciation. In a simple way, let the market control the problem. If you incentivize the market and also link the farmer with the market, there's going to be no problem.
I agree.
Today, there's a problem is that there is an industrial waste vestige which is not being incorporated in the natural cycles. Now, this may seem a little philosophical, but from an economic standpoint, like if we incentivize, if today, half of the budget, and it's really, people, the viewers will be shocked to hear this, but half of the money that was budgeted for the National Clean Air Program is unutilized. It's been underutilized. The money is being returned to the government because they could not find ways to utilize the money. Now, this is a slap on the taxpayer's face. Why wasn't the government thinking? I'm advocating for a simple agrarian solution, which is incentivize the farmer to not pollute. It's in a simple way. It's saying that farmers do not burn stubble. We will give you money for it.
Can you come back to us with a value? And the only way we can come back to a value is do a survey, okay, and come back to us. That might take a week, might take 2 weeks. We'll come back, okay. And then the figure is that this is the per ton cost of hay, which is the sweet spot at which the majority of the farmers start thinking that if I'm getting 10,000 rupees a ton, 5,000 rupees a ton, 2,000, there has to be some sweet spot where the people say, listen, for 100 rupees a ton, it's not worth my time. But for 10,000 rupees a ton, certainly it's worth my time. So you please find that sweet spot for us, and we'll add it to our set of graphics in this compendium that we are quickly building. Sanjay Nath Singh, this year is gone, okay. Let's be honest, it's a loss. We can't do anything in the next 2-3 days, but we can next year, and we'll have to start now for it to happen next year. What do we do, sir?
Well, I think what we need to do is to work on the redesigning of the superseders. That is something which I think is possible, and maybe have even smaller machines which can be pulled through smaller tractors, and we get rid of the Parali, or rather, it's so it mulches with the ground. And in fact, this mulching actually helps over a period of time in the farmers by the cost of irrigation coming down. The amount of water which is required.
Yeah, it retains moisture. Yes.
We are 25 to 30%. Cost of fertilizer comes down. So it's a very good thing. We should work towards this, and I have decided to talk to a couple of corporates and some metal companies how to devise a cheaper and a better machine for this.
Okay, काल करे सो आज कर, आज करे सो अब. let me quickly take last thoughts before I wind up this telecast, and we need to take a break. And let's like I said, keep in the spirit of problem solving, because what do? We have to solve the problem. Yogesh Chaudhary, अब इस साल तो अब जो हो गया था हो गया, ठीक है, हम सबको भुगतना पड़ रहा है, ठीक है, सबको भुगतना पड़ रहा है, ठीक है, बच्चे बूढ़ों सबको भुगतना पड़ रहा है. ये समस्या है, इसका हल निकालना है. अब हमारे पास मान के चलिए 12 महीने हैं, कैसे करें?
हेलो,
हाँ, आपकी आवाज़ आ रही है, गो हेड.
देखिए, इसमें सबसे बड़ी बात तो ये है कि जब तक इसमें गवर्नमेंट का स्टेक नहीं होगा, ये समस्या हल नहीं हो सकती. दोनों साइड्स में आपने बात किया कि मान लीजिए अगर कानून बनाया, हाँ कानून है. आप उत्तर प्रदेश में देखिए, पराली जलाने को लेके एक जो है कानून बनाया गया, उसमें एसडीएम को पावर दिया गया कि उसमें वो उसके ऊपर फाइन कर सकता है, उसको जो है उसका इम्प्रिजनमेंट का भी उसमें प्रावधान दिया गया है, लेकिन उसका अनुपालन नहीं हो रहा है. इवन 0.1% भी अनुपालन नहीं किया गया, तो इस कानून के बनाने का कोई फायदा नहीं है. दूसरा यह है कि किसान के लिए एक तो वो इलिटरेट है सबसे ज्यादा, और दूसरा उनके पास संसाधन नहीं है जिससे कि वो इसको मैनेजमेंट के रूप में इसको ले सके. तीसरा एक बड़ी चीज है, मान लिया अगर एक जैसा अभी संजय नाथ जी ने कहा कि अगर लो कॉस्ट इम्प्लीमेंट्स भी आ जाएं, तो एक चीज है कि अगर हमारा फील्ड से, हमारा अगर हमारे खेत से इसको पराली को लेके आएगा तो किसान उसको रखेगा कहाँ पर, ये भी एक इशू बनेगा. तो अल्टीमेट तो इसका अगर कोई सॉल्यूशन बन सकता है तो उसमें यही है कि गवर्नमेंट इस तरह के कोई संसाधन.
No, it has to be, government is only the large agency large enough to do it, but eventually the private sector has to come. Sanjay Nath Singh, why don't you put in touch with us some of the designers and the metallurgical fabricators? Let's come back in a few days and let's sit with them. Let's present some ideas. Let's get people moving on the design, because the government needs to create a market opportunity. They need to come out and say that we are going to purchase 2 lakh of these machines. Okay, somebody come up with a great design, and the people will come for a great design. Indra, quickly, 30-second intervention. Quickly, I need to wrap up.
बाप बड़ा ना भैया, सबसे बड़ा रुपया. Give the farmer the rupiah and the pollution will stop. What is the price of not making your child cough? Whatever that value is, give it to the farmer.
I'm telling you the prices. I'm telling you the prices. 40,000 rupees. That's what the air purifier I've had to put in my baby's room costs.
Exactly.
Okay? So I'm willing to contribute that much. Okay. 40,000 rupees is the cost of it.
10,000.
Yeah, the 40,000 rupees costs an air purifier. 40,000 rupees is what an air purifier is costing me. It's crazy money. It's yeah, and then you multiply. If you try to do it for every room, to ho gaya. Okay, so that is unaffordable for all of us. Indra Shekhar Singh, it's unaffordable for all of us.
It's over 1 lakh. It's over 1,20,000 if you have a 3-bedroom house, and if you have a drawing room, then that's another 40,000. So that's about
imagine.
160,000.
It's untenable. That's untenable money, and people are having to spend it. Everybody's putting an air purifier now. Okay.
And filter cost, every year filter cost because of the
bad. The filter aata hai yaar. I know. So again, solve the problem rather than trying to solve the issues that emanate from the problem. Okay. I'm going to take a break. I'm going to take a break. Okay. It is possible to have a sensible, intelligent, problem-solving, commonsensical approach to this. It is possible, okay? We know it's possible. We've had it this year. Enough is enough. Now, you can play all sorts of denial games, but if you look outside, everybody can see it, everybody can smell it. This is a problem that needs to be solved, and it has to be an incentive that works for the person who is the farmer in terms of speed and in terms of cost effectiveness. Unless we nail that. So my appeal to all of you watching the broadcast, okay, come up and do the rapid innovation and design that is required. Government of state, government of India, we've done the mathematics for you. We are not talking crazy money, okay. Put those tenders out there, because you incentivize private industry to come up with the solutions. Miracles will happen, because I don't want to sit here and have this conversation next year. And if we have it for the next year, and the next year, and the next year, and the next year, how many years before the national capital of this great country, of this new India we're building, has to be abandoned? Let us not be the generation that sees that fate.
For more such videos, subscribe to the NewsX YouTube channel, hit the bell icon.